The slashers, the serial killers, the psychotic, and the downright evil. Four souls will be given the daunting task of creating their very own team of killers. Tonight, throats will be cut, lives will be lost, and evil will prevail. Tonight, we find out, would you survive the night? This is a Comic Talkers production, and you are listening to Just for Flix. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Patty B, as always. With me today is Mr. B-Dog, Mr. Brandon. How are we doing this beautiful afternoon?
I'm doing good. I hope you realize I'm not editing that part out when you're sitting there like, come on.
Leave it in.
But we are joined and to continue off Horror Month by two wonderful guests. First off, I want to introduce the one, the only Rick Prince. Rick, how are you doing?
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. And also, we are bringing my Ghost Squad podcast partner with me on this podcast. Once I heard he knew horror, I was like, come join me to the dark side of the force. Please welcome to the podcast, Adam. Adam, how are you doing?
What's up? Thank you so much for not calling me A-Dog. That wouldn't have worked.
You would have ended the call right away.
I love how I said join the dark side and you throw up nubs in front of you. And it's like, bro, are you trying to hint he might be dark side compatible? We don't know.
That would be the twist of the century, honestly.
Better than Dark Jar Jar.
Secretly on my list.
It's secretly on my list.
There may or may not be a sculpture in this room.
So today, what we're going to be doing is a horror icon draft, or what we like to call, Would You Survive the Night? Think of it as a gauntlet. Our first task is going to be choosing horror icons. And pretty much a gauntlet. We're going to choose, we have a victim that's going into wherever it may be. And they have to survive our gauntlet of 5 horror icons. We're going to be doing snake draft. Pat's got a 20-sided die. He's going to choose our positions. At this point, what's going to happen is we're going to just go down. Whoever gets first pick goes second, third, fourth. Second round, we'll start with the fourth competitor, then go 3, 2, 1, and then back again till all 5 are completed. So, Pat,
let's do it. I think we're going to go with guest first. Mr. Rick Prince, I'm going to have you as the first roll on this one. Let's see if my fingers will allow me to.
Let's see if it's a low number.
11.
Exactly what I rolled.
Right there in the middle.
All right, Adam, let's see what you got.
16.
Let's go.
Let's see what B-Dog's got.
Come on, B-Dog.
Wow.
Hey! Wow.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, buddy.
Looks like I'm
just
picking
where I wanted to be.
Right. So since Adam did get the higher number with the number 16, Adam will get to choose where he wants to be placed from 1 through 4.
I will take the 4th spot.
You want to take the first back-to-back?
Ooh, that's a good one.
So Rick will get to go next. Out of now 1, 2, and 3, where would you want to be placed?
I don't know why I wouldn't pick an available number 1 on a choosing list, so I'll go with that as a guinea pig.
So I get to go next. Pat, you're gonna hate me. I'm taking my lucky number 3.
Okay. I'm gonna go with number 2.
Number 2.
Even if you didn't want number 2, that's what you're gonna get anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, what would that qualify? I have questions as we go.
You are
with the voice and the character you delivered. I would be curious if
He's
on the list.
Shit, dude. I mean, it is the
we
name.
knew it. We knew that $1 trillion went somewhere.
I have sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their freaking heads.
The adventure began.
If you have Dr. Evil, you better put the setting on Jerry Springer Show.
It's called the Belgium dip.
But all right, so Rick will get to go first. So Rick, who is your first horror icon that is going off the board?
All right, so as I'm new to the game and don't fully understand the rules, I'm just going to go with my heaviest hitter in my lineup, and this is to throw them on the board or have them on my team?
On your team.
You're
This
on
is for
your team.
This is your first pick. Yeah.
My first pick.
Yeah.
Then it's got to be the king of monsters, Godzilla.
God.
Oh!
Yeah, I knew Godzilla was a horror.
Prince with the fire right
Where
there.
are you
man.
guys?
I'm like,
Godzilla
just in
was-
case, I brought the
There we
vetting
go.
with the cover of Fangoria. I was like, if it's
Wow.
on the cover of a horror magazine, the #1 issue, you know what I'm saying? He's got to be all hail the king.
So, okay, all right. So
I don't know how you beat that. Like, honestly,
Rick just won the
Who's-
game.
Rick won. Rick won the Super Bowl. Like,
Right there.
congratulations.
I don't need anybody else. Now, let me ask you this: who is your favorite version of Godzilla?
He's gonna say the 2001 with Matthew Broderick.
Hey, Patrick Tatopoulos' design for
It was a
Godzilla
great design.
is a great design. I understand the
horrible
complications with the story and those mechanics. The acting in the film was great too. So I don't really hate on that as much as some people might. But my wife and I recently watched again -1.
Yes.
And for the representation on screen and for one of the best all-time power-ups and deliveries, hey, -1. I'm going with Godzilla -1.
-1, I feel, has the best jump scare. And the reason with the Godzilla character, because when you get that first iconic scene with him in -1, where they shine the spotlight at him, and there he is, just standing there, like going to smack down on all these guys.
Very horror,
Yeah,
horror.
I
Very
would-
scary, very real. I thought that was the big. Aside from that, the whole film is a great character study.
Yeah.
And the setting and the context is fantastic. And under that backdrop, you have to deal with this.
Like I think,
and then the rise and the journey, hero's journey that the variety of characters have, just made that a great film. But either way, Godzilla in the movie.
better get -2 next, because the way it ends.
Yeah, if you all haven't seen it, I tried to go light and make sure there were no spoilers in there. But make sure you see that film. It's been out for a minute.
I'll tell you what, I've always loved the 2001 Godzilla, the movie cover for the VHS.
Yes.
The graphic, iconic, dude. I loved it as a kid.
Yeah, especially with the printing, with that iridescent
Yes.
shine that the cover had. Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask a question to Rick as the coach of his team?
Hey, I got a coach.
Are
Sweet.
you worried that Godzilla may not play well with your other players or yourself in this instance? He seems like kind of a loose cannon. No, you know what I intended.
I have a structure. You mentioned in our little pre-show conversation, we were discussing some of the potential mechanics. We'll get more into that here live with you all. But it depends on if I approached it in a D&D capacity. If I'm the dungeon master and I'm setting the field that the person has to run my gauntlet.
Gotcha.
Good luck to you.
Because you just place the giant mini of Godzilla right there in the middle and say,
Hey, Rick is just making his own Jabba's palace, and Godzilla's just going to be his Rancor in the pit.
It may very well be that. That is a good idea there, sir.
But that's why I wanted to bring up the whole -1 too, because I've never. So I'll make going back to 2001 one quick before we go to Pat's pick. I hated his design, and it's not because of the reason you think. I think it because it reminds me of that stupid sea monster from Phantom Menace, where the one that eats a little puffer thing.
Oh yeah, fantastic sound design, interesting visual design.
When I see it, I just think of him, and I'm just like, they took inspiration from the Phantom Menace, the way he's shaped and everything. Like, I like that they did the design dinosaur look more, but that's where I feel like Godzilla -1 did it 10 times better, the dinosaur way, compared to any other one that's done it, because it's like showing him evolving, like we said. And
I would have loved to have seen Tatopoulos' design in the -1 film.
I agree.
With the same kind of power-ups and everything that were applied there. You take that design, you do those things with it. I'm a fan just of the design, but I understand completely the pushback because it was out of range similar to some of the Star Wars films. It's if you have a average set by all these different films, one really stands out in a different way. It just stands out in a different way, good or bad. There's going to be judgment.
Well, it's like we said, -1 that won an Oscar at the Oscars, making it the first Godzilla movie to ever win an Oscar. So,
Yeah, and props for the category too. Big monster movie, kaiju film, coming in hot.
it was amazing. That's why I said.
Yeah,
My
and
experience
looking
with
forward
Rowan-
to the sequel. I heard green lights on that. So
Yeah, at this point, I don't see why they don't do it now. At this point, for how successful it was, not just in the Japanese market, but also in the United States market.
it's set up subtly and beautifully. So make sure you guys keep to your seats. You know what I mean?
And hopefully there's not a boy band or boy troll band playing next door and ruining the most quietest moment in the movie. I had that.
Oh no. Oh
right,
no.
you know the scene where the plane's going right to Godzilla at the end of the movie and it just grows dead silent. All of a sudden we hear
182.
Yeah, we saw
Where are you?
Where are you? No, we hear the trolls band together when they're the NC
Oh,
group is
the
singing.
Trolls movie. Oh,
And
I see.
so my buddy sat there and he goes, "Are they playing fucking Trolls next door?" All of a sudden you hear everybody just start laughing. It's like he goes out to the theater and complains. He goes, "You guys need to get more soundproofing in here because I don't want to hear the trolls when I'm watching the most intense scene in the movie." And it's just he's all pissed off. But nah, that's what I said. I'm glad you chose Godzilla. So Pat, let's go to you.
I'm glad to have him on the team. Let's see what you got, Patrick.
My first pick is a classic horror icon. I would say he's the GOAT of the slashers, in my opinion. I'm going with Mr. Freddy Krueger.
Oh.
All right.
Nice.
I mean, you kind of have to, right?
Nice.
Because if you get tired, you get a little sleepy, and you need some rest every once in a while, y'all are fucked. All right. That's all I got to say about that.
Great pick.
Freddy Krueger.
Fantastic.
I could not pick him first because I feel like he's just gonna get picked up at some point. I had that feeling, and I had to do it. So
that was with me. I was like, before he's gone.
Yeah. I'm like, that's my number one pick. I had to go with them. No, I love Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Great. I love the costume of him. I was Freddy Krueger once for Halloween one year. I mean, who wasn't at some point?
Multiple years, yes.
But I've always loved the concept of the finger knives or the knife. I mean, it's just iconic. That sweater is also iconic. But no, Freddy Krueger, man. That was my first pick, and I just had to go.
Great pick.
According to the great words of Freddy Krueger himself, welcome to prime time, bitch.
How sweet, fresh meat.
I'll go with my number one pick. It's gonna be an oddball pick, because it's not technically a horror movie for adults. It's a horror movie for kids. Going with Constance Nevercracker from
You could
Monster
not.
House.
You could not resist it, could you?
This is the house
Bro,
from Monster House.
Oh, come on.
Bro, that's what I
like
said.
Hey, it's a horror icon. We can go with any pick. I went, screw it. I want to make mine at home. So make it at the comforts of your own home. I'm going with a child horror movie because, yes, I'm a wuss when it comes to horror movies. So I will choose anything outside that realm. So
I appreciate that. That's one of those films that I will admittedly say has remained in my queue from the gate.
Yes.
And now I'm compelled to watch it this evening after this.
You know what? I might follow you too, Rick. That actually sounds like a really good.
Yeah, if it's made somebody's number one pick, there's a reason for that. And I wanted to watch it initially, and it's one of those in the mood for a certain thing, and I'm just scrubbing. So
it was always one I watched.
You're on the list tonight, Monster House.
Yeah, it's always a movie I watched with my cousin, and it always freaked him out. I just loved freaking him out during that movie for some reason. And he was watching this at 6-7 years old, and every time he'd watch, he gets so scared. So I sat there and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get him," So the whole time I always made, but I watched it not too long ago and realized, you know what, this actually is a very iconic, but not an iconic like Freddy Krueger Godzilla, but very underrated. I think.
No, I think it is. Even the choice, the setup, the context of that the movie is focused around that idea is so on the nose, was missed for so long. It's a great setup. It, like I said, the trailer had me. I just didn't get to it.
Well, let's not mention too the greatness behind that movie is the cast. I mean, you got Steve Buscemi, you got Maggie Gyllenhaal, you got John Heder, you got Kevin James, you got Kathleen Turner, you have Jason Lee, you have Nick Cannon, you have Fred Willard, and you have Catherine O'Hara, and that is a
Catherine O'Hara is amazing.
That's a solid lineup.
I think that's my favorite role with Kevin James too, because he's a cop and he doesn't believe the kids, and then he's one of them that's eaten up by the house.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, that's a movie.
Watching it today.
Hey, that's a 20-year-old movie. I think I.
You're in fair territory.
I feel old you saying that now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to talk again about that then shortly.
So Adam, because Adam does have back-to-back picks.
Adam.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead. This has been a very difficult choice for me. So I do have a plan. Viewers, I have a plan. It may not make sense to you right now, but I have a plan.
You got it.
With the number 1 pick or number 4 pick in the first round of the draft, Adam's team is going to select Ghostface from Scream.
Which one?
Specifically Skeet Ulrich.
There we go.
Does the context play that you get both?
I feel like you should.
I feel like you should too, and I'm not even on your team.
I feel like the mystery of the mask
that's the
allows
setup
for multiple people to be that character. But if you're going to make me pick, I will go with my man Skeet, who almost gave away the entire plot before the movie even came out. So I love that story. I think that it will make sense. I promise it will make sense. When I get all of my people together. I have a feeling I'm going to get everybody I want.
Can we go ahead and put that one to the floor to make sure on what the context is? Because I feel that the reason that Ghostface is effective until the reveal is because he is both characters.
Exactly. You don't know who he is.
And that's how he's so effective, is because there's 2 people doing the work on that. Like that's how you're both places at once.
Rick's doing the work for me.
Yeah.
I think if my competitor is doing it,
guy. I want to make sure that the context is fair, and then also, like any good game player, want to make sure that judgment might come back around the same fairly.
I hate to say this though, Adam. Our first 2 picks, Godzilla with Smush and a heartbeat.
Okay, but we're not fighting.
Patrick might get away because he can invade.
Our people aren't fighting. It's not.
Godzilla's got to sleep at some point.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you can make Freddy get to people while they're awake. That would be a bending. So I'm just within the movie rule and the single movie rule, right? Not that there's a different killer. You get all the killers that may be in the series. Nothing like that.
But you bring up a good point with Ghostface. I think Skeet, and I can never remember Matthew Lillard's name, but I know Matthew Lillard's the other one.
It's Stu.
Stu, thank you. Skeet and Stu actually work so well together. I think they are by far the best duo.
What's Skeet's other name then?
Isn't it Billy?
Billy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Billy Corgan. Corgan.
Billy and Stu.
Billy Corgan?
It's Billy Loomis. Loomis.
Yes, Loomis.
I love Matthew Lillard as well. But it comes down to I may have a character later on that is another Matthew Lillard character. So I don't want to use Matthew Lillard.
I know exactly.
But if you are following what Rick is allowing, Pat, with the rules,
you smell what Rick is cooking.
Yeah. I will take Ghostface, both of them, and they will be very effective for the plan that I have in place.
They'll be your prank callers of your team.
And then with my second pick, this is a very difficult choice, but again, it's one that has to be made. I'm going to go with Dracula.
Very nice.
I feel like
you
Dracula.
see me over here like adjusting the list now. Like, all right, good choice, my man. Good choice.
I will go. Hang on 1 second so I can get the exact name.
Which film?
The
Which setup?
1958 Christopher Lee
That's what
Dracula.
Christopher. Yeah.
I will take that one. I
Good.
also
We got smoke bats. We got all kind of good stuff in that
I
one.
want you to be aware that I'm also taking his house with that.
The castle, you mean?
So the
You don't
castle.
want Nosferatu at that point?
I will be taking Christopher Lee. But that movie was fabulous with Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, both Star Wars alum. I felt like it was on brand for me. But I just love Dracula. I love almost every version of Dracula. I just think it's fun when you have this guy who's all about, I want to suck your blood. I also
Nick
love
Caging
women.
it up. Yes,
He's
it's
got
perfect
Italian.
casting.
I
Back
love
to Mark.
women. I love all these other people.
It's
Like,
a pizza pie.
it's just so good. And when you have, I mean, if you're going off icon, then like there's nothing more iconic than a man who creates a character so iconic you get a Sesame Street character created out of him. It's
Cereal.
It's
How
And
many
count-
different
and
books, versions
Street.
of that, films? You know, so many iterations of that character. I completely agree. That of icons, top choice,
and
my man.
that might
Good
be
choice.
my only like. Those two might be my only icons.
Mhm.
Everybody else are just really good horror villains.
Yeah.
So I think that those are fair for those picks.
Okay.
And based on Pat's reaction, I think I picked well with
100 with Ghostface.
Ghostface.
Oh yeah, definitely hurt my feelings there.
Sorry about it. Not really.
So I'm gonna go with my second pick, my first occupant of the monster house. Because I'm gonna have people living. Going with an M. Night Shyamalan movie from the movie Split.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
24
A super villain on top of horror icon.
You do not know what personality you are going to get. You might get Hedwig, the nice little kid that loves Kanye West. You might get, I can't remember the girl's name. Crap. But anyway,
I don't think that was her name.
no, I know it's not. I can't remember her name though. But just seeing James McAvoy in this film is fantastic. This is by far one of my favorite movies with him, even over Professor Xavier, over a lot of roles that he's played.
It's a great actor study. I completely agree.
Yeah, like I remember we had to do, when I was in college, we had all these texts. It was all based on horror literature. And then the final was we had to watch a movie and compare the text that we've read to the movie, and Split was the movie that we all chose. And it was just amazing to see how that all came into play with the horror aspect of the class plus that. And Henry Wendell Crumb is just an amazing character development. Now, Glass is a terrible movie. I'm still going to put that out there. That is a terrible movie. It should have never been made at this point. Or they should have waited so many more years after they made that movie. But not the point. I feel like he would be my first layer gauntlet. If you can get past him, then you're going to go to these guys. But he's going to
welcome. He's your Mrs. Doubtfire greeting host.
Yeah, it's you know what? He's my first occupant. Doesn't mean he's going to be my last occupant of this home. Let's go.
You know what I thought about for your thing, Brandon? Just off the top of my head.
Excuse me.
You know what you could have picked instead of the monster house is the smart house from the Disney original series, Smart House, because that one was terrifying. That movie was a horror movie because the way that mother figure just pops up and is just like, you are my children. It reminds me of the SNL skit with Zac Efron and what's his face? I am your mother.
I have some interesting questions then coming up. I'm inspired by you guys' choices already. I'm interested to hear what you got coming up, Patrick. But yeah, do you all anticipate like modifiers? Are you gonna decide which character he becomes when the adventure begins in your survivor tries to come in the door?
He's
Is
my
there going to be that?
Like when you look at my pick there, it's more he's my greeter, like you said, he's my Mrs. Doubtfire, because you don't know what personality you're gonna. He might be that person where he comes like welcome, and then you get Hedwig like, listen to this music. I love Kanye, would sit there and then jam out, right? And then you get oh gosh, I can't even remember. I still can't remember her name. Anyway, not the point. But you get her where she's sitting there, she's like, I'm here to make dinner. And then just seeing how creepy he is. And then you get Dennis, and then at the end of it all, he might be my first layer and my last layer of defense, because he can also turn into the beast.
You may only need one, yeah.
So, and the beast we've already know can pretty much be indestructible. So we will see until Glass ruined it all. Anyway, not the so Patty B.
Let's go, Patty B.
For my number 2 pick, I like to think that our victim has just kind of stumbled upon the wrong timeline here. Just within a certain amount of days, as when they show up. For every 23 years, for 23 days, it gets to eat. I am going with the Creeper.
Okay.
As my second pick. One of my all-time favorite horror characters. Scariest shit, because honestly, if you've seen the second one, when you really get a full facial feature on that, god damn, that used to scare me as a kid. So, no, Jeepers Creepers is a great movie in general. The first 2 are okay. I mean, the second one's but I wouldn't watch anything past that. But I think the origin, and I think the creativity behind the character, especially with makeup and everything, I loved the costume as a kid. Like, I loved how they made him look. It was just badass, especially when he has the whole tentacle things come out. But I just honestly don't see my victim really standing a chance against this guy, because, I mean, he's just indestructible. So, no, I'm going with the Creeper, man. I'm very confident with that pick. So,
so Rick,
a good pick for sure.
Rick gets back-to-back picks, 2 and 3.
Oh, this is going to be great. I like how you guys have this set up. This is fun. And it had me nervous the whole time while you all were picking. And this is honestly my favorite choice, even though Godzilla was my logical choice. You know what I mean? But in different context, I'm like, Godzilla may be fucked against this thing. The Thing.
Oh, I'm so angry with you.
Yes. Good luck to anyone, even in the film. Even in the film, 0 survivors, baby. Depending on how you I think just set up. Even if he would have survived anything, elementals not letting that happen. You know what I mean? He's in the wrong place to survive if that was going to happen. So.
It's the fact that Kurt Russell still watches The Thing when it comes on. Like, that's one of the movies that he said to his son he will always watch himself in, was The Thing. And from a music angle, The Thing is one of the most terrifying villains, because it's not Jaws. It's not the bun. It's just dun 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 dun.
When you pay attention to a lot of John Carpenter films too, because that is a John Carpenter film, you have Michael Myers, right? Yeah, Michael Myers has the iconic theme, and that's what made The Thing so more terrifying, because you don't always know when he's coming around. When Michael Myers came around or right around the corner, you knew where he was because the music was playing the whole stinking time. But The Thing is just so he's creepy, and the fact being that nobody knows who he is. That might be a wild card pick, Rick. I don't know. You guys might kill each other in your own place at this point.
The shapes of anything that it becomes that isn't a mimic are each and every one so deadly and terrifying. Even in the follow-up, it's always teeth and sharp, bony killing devices. Like I don't.
Great pick, Rick.
Thanks, man. I'm glad to have it on the team.
There's a video on YouTube. They did the super villain bowl, and they had The Thing, and it invaded Heath Ledger's Joker.
See,
so it when somebody, it was like Agent Smith coming up to him, prepare to be Smith, and he goes, "There's the thing," and all of a sudden you see his belly open up, and he snaps off his hand. He goes, "I don't want to be Smith," and then all of a sudden you see the head come out of the Joker, and it's like, oh my god, no, thank you.
Gnarly.
Send you the link. It's disturbing at points with the Heath Ledger Joker.
All right, so I'm gonna stay true to my favorites, and I've got questions. So as far as icons, all hail the Queen. I'll have the Queen alien, please.
No!
Oh.
Rick, you ruined everything.
do I get the hive? Is the question.
No.
Oh, come on! I'm like, if that's
You
my
don't get
monster
here,
house, bro. Well,
babies.
welcome in the front door. You stepped
already
into the
have
wrong
Godzilla.
place.
Yeah, at this point, I think Godzilla would destroy all that, but okay.
Hey, depends on if you even get to
Pat,
Godzilla.
what's the verdict?
What's that?
Does he get the horde as well as the Queen, the hive?
Well, I
as
mean,
well
if
as
it's
the
part
Queen?
of the character within the movie, I'd say it's a go.
So he pretty much builds a deadly army of xenomorphs.
Rick's gauntlet is so terrifying to me. It's not even.
Rick came to play, and
He doesn't understand the game.
Beginner's luck.
This is the guy in fantasy football who just magically picked like Patrick Mahomes and like all these other people before they got popular.
You got it wrong, man. It's a guy who's always on auto pick.
I'm just like, what is not survivable in my mind of these great iconic creatures and characters that have been created? Even like the picks so far are just, you guys have tough picks, even if mine have scale to some degree.
Yeah, I think there's a difference there. Like, your protagonist must be a Jaeger from Pacific Rim, or
yeah.
In order to qualify,
in order to qualify, you must have a monster suit.
Yeah.
Or be King Kong,
or be Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver might survive, honestly.
I leave that to you and the fans of the show that you all have to set these dynamics up. If you feel that your hero should have a Jaeger suit, at least in this setup, because how would you survive just as a person 1v King of Monsters? That's give you your. I'm fine with that setup.
You're a hero horror team concept coming along. No, I'm thinking we might be doing a Call of Duty Zombies kind of team up where we have a whole bunch of heroes come up and then they work together to defeat our teams.
I'm interested to see how you all set that up.
All right, sounds like a deal. Now Pat gets to go.
Come on, Patty B.
Third pick.
I feel like you just like saying my name, which I'm okay with.
100%.
This one's a little bit of a twist, I guess you'd say, because I'm kind of going more for a character of Paranormal Activity. One that you're not going to see much, but when it does happen, again, kind of fucked. I'm going for Juggernaut from 13 Ghosts.
Juggernaut. Ooh.
Oh.
That's an interesting.
As you know,
that would have been a monster house on its own if the judges would rule that, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Come to me.
Think about having that house.
Come to me.
That's another Matthew.
You can't have two houses. Movie. What is this, Monopoly?
Yes.
I don't know this movie.
So now I know exactly what other Matthew Lillard film you're talking about now. Thank you, buddy, for letting.
Yeah, most certainly. And if you haven't seen 13 Ghosts, it for a long while was very difficult to come by. So see if you're able to find it, and if not, search it out. It's on the list for
fantastic movie
for what they did with that film. It stood out and still stands out at most haunted houses around the nation.
I heard that Netflix was thinking about doing a mini series on the backgrounds of the ghosts.
Yeah,
I think I heard that same whisper.
Yeah,
for those of you that have not seen it yet, it looks like it's on Tubi for free.
Yeah.
Dude, you need to go watch that.
I just saw
check that out.
That's on my list. I'll watch it tonight or tomorrow night.
We're Monster House in it, but I'm going to watch 13 Ghosts again now, too.
Tony Shalhoub's in it, man. Mr. Monk.
Can you explain has a 36% on Rotten Tomatoes and it's a 6 out of 10 movie?
Fuck Rotten Tomatoes.
Seconded on that opinion.
Well,
it has Metacritic is a 50%, IMDb has it at 6 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes 36%, and the
It's-
fan vote is at 80.
It's one of those
See
movies
what
too that
the scale is what it says right there. Those metrics speak for themselves, I think.
yeah,
It was a
and I-
For sure.
perfect movie for the time
80%.
it came out.
like it's a
I mean,
That's
good,
an 8 out of 10 right
like,
there.
it's one of those
Hey,
movies
and it's
that-
Matt Lillard. I love Matt Lillard.
dude, then you're
Delivers
gonna love
on the
this movie.
concept 100%.
Love
it's,
it.
It's one of those perfectly named films like Monster House. Like it's
it's one of
delivers
those
on the
movies that-
concept.
It's a great movie to watch. There's not a lot of jump scares per se, but it is a fun.
It's scary though. Like I mean, it's
Scary
definitely got
movie.
some.
You
It's
enthralled.
scary.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah, not
enthralled-
to oversell it, but it has its own iconic look, the style, the visual setup, and the
100%.
acting is a whole ride unto itself. So
Right.
Heck yeah. I'm going to watch it tonight. Tomorrow night. One of the two.
yeah, lots of cool monsters in there. 13, I hear.
13?
Oh man.
So to continue on my little house tour, every good house needs a good TV, don't it?
Oh, stop it.
I'm going with Samara Morgan. The Ring.
There she is.
The Ring Girl.
Yes. So I got a backup plan in the case something happens. You can't not be enthralled by a little videotape that sits up on a TV. You got Hedwig like, hey, let me put this in for you, and then runs off on his little skates with Kanye West music playing in his ears. And all of a sudden she's just enthralled, and then they go, you die in 7 days, you know. But it wouldn't be the phone, it'd be the house that would be saying it to her. So I do have some. I'm gonna make my house talk.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
I'm going Samara Morgan. I granted, I don't like 2. I sure as hell don't like Ring, or what was it, the third one they did. That was terrible. I do like the Japanese version made. I thought that was fantastically made. And the first one in America was great. Anything else other than that, I don't care. But Samara Morgan's going off my list. But yeah, so we go to Adam for back-to-back picks.
Okay, so I've been screwed by y'all's picks. You've picked a lot of my people. So my first pick, my third round pick, I'm gonna go with a classic from let's see if you guys can guess. It is from it just celebrated its 60th anniversary. Black and white, has the most iconic face.
Norman
Bates.
Norman Bates will be.
That was
my
actually going to be
third
my
pick.
next pick, so thank you very much.
You can't get much better than the
Bing, bing, bing.
and it has some of the things that actively scared me every time I saw commercials for it as a kid, when they were doing like re-releases and when they were doing horror nights and when they were all that kind of stuff. That scared the living crap out of me was Norman Bates. I will say that Jack Torrance was my was going to be, if somebody had taken Norman Bates, it would have been Jack Torrance. But I feel like Norman Bates is much more equipped to handle things at a killing level. I think Jack kind of stumbled into it just by going crazy. But Norman Bates was actively out to kill people. I loved the alternate realities in his mind. The universe that that movie created. Not all the movies were good. Not all the shows were good. But the world that it created was absolutely terrifying, and so he's part of my plan. So I will be
Very
taking
iconic.
Norman Bates.
True to the title.
For real.
I'm
When
ready.
you guys said
I
iconic.
already know the end of my draft right now. You guys.
I'm glad somebody chose him, because if I didn't, I was originally going to go with him over Henry Wendell Crumb as my greeter, because he is the man that introduces them.
Your Mrs. Doubtfire pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mrs.
as far as
Doubtfire.
weapons of choice, like ways to die for our hero, I mean, some of mine are maybe graceful or like swift, at least in their ending. I would hate to end through the hands of a couple of your guys' choices. The knives or something. That's like the worst way
Yeah,
to go. That's not how I want to go out.
All of my people so far have very slow and horrible ways of dying. Between Ghostface, Dracula, and Norman. So my next one, I will have to have a qualifier just because of the actor that portrays this character. I'm going to pick Doug Jones in Pan's Labyrinth.
Ooh, okay.
So I would like to throw it out there that because Doug Jones played both the Pale Man and the Fawn, that I get both of them. And I say the Fawn because Guillermo del Toro is on record saying that he is neither good nor evil, but he is a horror monster. And I think that movie made me cry more than like some actual like sad movies, because the acting that Doug Jones does through those suits and the level of just the transformation, it wasn't it wasn't CGI. It was he was there in all of those suits doing all of those things, and it was terrifying. But you have to think about it in the realm of this child watching watching these creatures around her, and the fact that he was luring her in. She wasn't good or bad, like he wasn't good or bad, because his whole only goal was to get her to do what he wanted, and she did. And so I think that Doug Jones, one of my favorite actors, but I think that both of those are absolutely terrifying. If I only had to pick one, Pale Man would obviously be the choice. But if I could get both because of Doug Jones's acumen at monsters, that'd be awesome.
I need a heavy hitter with a number 4 pick. I got some, but not as powerful this guy can be, and he's probably my iconic character that's going to be on my list. I'm going with Pennywise.
Ooh.
This is a guy that I would hide in my basement, because we know that the heart of Constance Nevercracker is in the basement. So this is one of my protectors.
So which film?
I'm going with
series, I guess.
I'm going with the Bill Skarsgård ones. I don't.
Right on.
I like Tim Curry, but I think Skarsgård did a fantastic job in making more of a creepier version of Pennywise.
100%.
I love Tim Curry, don't ever get me wrong, but I will never look past him and not think a little childish, right? Or a little bit like that's more for kids. And now they brought it back and made it more creepier, and it did it right with having 2 movies instead of 1.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them are just amazing. I just love how the little side note there, the little post they did with him. Oh, you guys ready to kick my ass? And he's going, yeah. The kids were like, yeah, let's do this, But he's so creepy. He's maniacal. We don't know where he is. He could be somebody totally different. He can shapeshift. We know that. It's just so fun to see that and how creepy he really could be. He could be somewhere and you think you kill him off, you did it. And he could be somewhere totally different and be acting like somebody else. So I'm going Pennywise as my number 4. Figured I need to get him off the board before I take another chance and not get him.
So here's my problem. And it's the same problem I had with Godzilla pick. And it's, how do you think you're controlling Pennywise whatsoever? Like, Pennywise, if you just
remember, you got to remember his main thing, right? He feeds off fear. So if he knows somewhere where fear is going to be,
sure,
he's gonna go.
But what stops him from killing your other villains? Because he's
Sarah Morgan's in a TV that's only shrouded when a person.
Fair.
Yeah, and Godzilla I wasn't messing with you guys. I can snap my atomic finger and summon Godzilla, bro.
Yeah,
he's on beck and call.
He's got to take a nap at some
point. Boy.
Yeah, he's dormant until we mess with the dude. That's your problem. You go banging stuff off in the ocean.
Are you transporting him on a ship like they did try to do with King Kong?
What? I'm not gonna be fooled. I don't need to transport him anywhere. He comes to us. I may go down if the host is on standby. We're all standing around next to the monster house. Like, it's done. Like, I'm going down with the ship on that one. I called him. So, oops.
All right. So we go to Patty B for his.
Patty B.
Man, Adam, you be my hype man forever, bro. Hey, so I was gonna ask, because I know you picked, Mrs. Nevercracker, am I allowed to pick an entity of myself? I know you mentioned it a few rounds ago when I had picked. You really got my wheels spinning. I'm looking to, honestly, if I can pick the puzzle box house from 13 Ghosts, I would.
Ooh,
Well, maybe
Are you
we
talking
talk
about
like,
retroactive swap out or adding that as?
well, I feel like
Adding as that as part of my
Okay.
team.
well,
Yeah.
I'll if you guys are okay with it, let's see what he thinks. We pretty much have setups for all three of ours. I
Mhm.
have Monster House. Adam has Norman Bates Hotel,
Dracula's castle.
Dracula's Castle. Rick, you could use the Thing's research laboratory.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm curious about if I need to have the setup as part of the context of one of my 5 picks now, or okay.
Pat, if you wanted to include that with
Most
your
of these are
13
on
Ghosts
delivery.
pick, yeah.
What's that?
13 Ghost
So
pick
most
at
of
this
mine's are
point,
on
we'll just
delivery.
count that as like your setup. Like this is where we're going to be because
With the house. Okay.
like,
Well, then
like
if that's
mine's an entity, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's not just a house.
it's not just a house.
It's
I
a
see.
soul in the house.
yeah, so if so the Juggernaut's with the house, and then man, you guys no. I'm gonna
There we go. We
There's
gotta
Rick's hero right there.
I'm gonna go.
There he is, main man.
I'm gonna go with indestructible slasher character. He's iconic. He's Mr. Mike Mike Myers. Yeah, baby. Mike.
That's your pick. You can't. No redos. No
Groovy,
redos.
baby.
Dude, honestly, Austin Powers, I'd be okay with. Honestly, for
Hey,
like,
Shrek
he's your
is
victim.
doing damage, bro. I'm telling
He's
you.
your victim.
Shrek is horror.
Yeah, you just use
But
your
yeah,
victim.
I'm going with Mike Myers. Nothing's gonna keep him down. He's gonna keep getting up. That's what I need for my team. A very reliable source, a reliable character. He's always gonna be there. He's always gonna mess stuff up. So
when
It's
you
off my
originally
list now.
when you were originally saying iconic horror characters, like please do not choose Jason because you have Freddy Krueger, and we know where that went. That
yeah,
was a
that's
terrible
why I've
movie.
been staying away from Mr. Voorhees, man, because no, I've always liked Michael Myers. I love The Mask. But yeah, I have to pan off on something because it's hilarious. But have you guys seen Baby Driver?
Yes,
What,
and I
Baby
do
Driver?
know exactly. That was my initial thought. As soon as you shortened the first
Yeah.
name, I immediately saw the mask and know the story behind that.
Yeah.
So go ahead
So
and tell the people if they don't know.
For anyone that doesn't know, basically they're going through the heist part and they're trying to wear masks.
Yeah.
And the guy that was in charge was like, yeah, we're all gonna wear Michael Myers masks, Michael Myers. And they're all wearing Austin Powers masks.
Yeah.
The wrong Michael Myers because the
Yeah,
film
it's the wrong
company
Mike-
couldn't get the
Mike-
licensing, and the production team was like, "Well,
Yeah.
let's just go ahead and roll with this, and we'll incorporate that into the script because the shape was not coming off of it for that."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Which is fantastic because it's even funnier. It's like a Point Break nod almost at that point.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, Pat. Do you like, and this goes for everybody, do you like the older Halloween movies, or if you like what they've done with the more recent?
Personally, I already know what you're gonna say, Brandon. I'm a big fan of the Rob Zombie Halloweens, in my opinion. I love
the most
origin.
threatening physical beast of a man. I would never want to engage in any sort of hand-to-hand anything with Michael Myers from Rob Zombie's first film.
Yeah. And I love how,
No way.
especially in the first movie, how they really describe where he came from. And especially with Rob Zombie, the way he's able to tell dark stories. Like, he gets really dark.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
dark.
I'm with you. That film gets too much hate.
It does. I mean, 26% Rotten Tomatoes, but 60% in our hearts. All right.
Yeah, is that
I'm
what
glad
is
you
that
give
what
it a
the
60%.
fans say? Is
Yeah,
throw
I
that one
mean-
up on the meter and pull it and see what the
Yeah,
what the
I think
people
it is-
give it.
I think it is 26.
I'll
was looking at it
give you
earlier
guys
today.
props with the first one. The first one was good,
Is that
but the second one is where it got really bad. And with Rob Zombies, I just didn't care for the second one they did with him.
which film are you going with? Is the Rob Zombie version of your Michael Myers your choice?
Yes, yes. I am going with the Rob Zombie
A
version.
fantastic choice. Yes. Yeah, that was totally on my list. I was like that. And as far as the mythos behind the character,
Mhm.
how you gonna win? Like
No,
that.
yeah.
That's how I came at all of these. I'm like, how are you gonna survive? You're not. That was supposed to be my mission, right? Make this unsurvivable.
Yep.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna be. But
I
yeah,
hope
no,
anyway. But it's the roll of the dice, right? I can't wait to see what happens with people. I think there's a chance you could live.
So here's the thing: Rick gets his last 2 picks back to back.
Oh, I forgot I get doubles. Sweet.
Yes.
That means I'm guaranteed to get 2 of my favorite top. I didn't have to go to my second tier. So that's great. I appreciate that. So in order of favorite and priority, and I got questions on this one too, which seems like it may be a win. I'm going with the Hell Priest himself, Pinhead.
Ooh.
And by extension, he comes with his homies. So do I get the Cenobites as well?
It's the same thing as the Xenomorphs. If you're gonna get the Xenomorphs at this point,
Good luck living to all of you people trying to survive. Good luck winning. Oh boy, that's a treat. I'm so happy.
You imagine him torturing Godzilla
Hey,
at that point?
Yeah, Clive Barker. Oh my God, what a setup! Like the imagination that guy has is just. I've got a whole bookshelf full of Clive Barker novels over here, and that's one of my favorite. The mythos again, to the Michael Myers choice, the mythos behind Pinhead and what bad ways to die. I don't even know if you'd survive opening the box. Some people like that's like the worst part of the film is the chains and the hooks, right? That's
So we know what Godzilla is going to be for. He's going to be a nuclear source for Rick's Dungeons and Dragons setup. He's going to be its power source, and then Pinhead's going to be the whole mastermind behind everything. Now we see.
Or fighting for leadership if they're gonna. It depends on how you all set the mechanics up. If they're all just active, or if you get to go in order of levels, kind of like you have set up with your greeter, or the circular gauntlet kind of set up in the Minotaur kind of concept that you mentioned earlier. You're going to also have to deal, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, so I think I'm in the clear here with 0-1 Vecna.
There you go.
What you say
I'm
about it, homie?
surprised that was not
you're on the list,
earlier.
right?
Hey Rick, I think your house is on fire right now because of that pick.
We'll see what happens. I'm curious. I think as far as a new horror icon, the Demogorgon is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm curious about all of the connections. I'll let the group and the fans decide what all comes with Vecna and all that kind of stuff. With being kind of newer territory to explore. But yeah, I think that would round out my top 5.
What would be fun then is having it done in that like astral plane that Vecna has in Stranger Things. If you put somebody in that and then had Godzilla, Pinhead, like everybody else like in there, that's horrifying.
That would be like
if Vecna is able to just kind of bring what he wants because it's his world. He was the dungeon master in my setup because I was going to flip the script on anybody entering the game.
That's brilliant.
Can I pitch something else? You pretty much just pitched the Lego Batman movie, but for
Okay, right on.
But you think about it, Joker summons all these villains, right? And he gets Voldemort, he gets Sauron, he gets all these iconic villains into one scene. And that could be Vecna for you because you can summon Godzilla, like we said.
Patrick, what do you got?
So for my final pick, it is going to be my only mortal character. I think this is a kind of a perfect cherry on top for how my team has been built, location-wise, with the Juggernaut being inside the puzzle box house. This is going to be kind of like my Mrs. Doubtfire pick. I am going with Annie Wilkes from Misery.
That's a great pick. By far, best Kathy Bates role.
Deceiving, obsessive, and downright dangerous. Annie Wilkes is gonna handle business. All right.
You dirty bird. You
Yeah, one of the worst, like most memorable, like up there with Pet Cemetery ankles. Like, oh my god, oh,
No. I'm glad it was James
Annie.
Caan though on the receiving end of that, because Pat knows I'm not a big James Caan fan. So every time I
You
see
don't like Mr. Henry, bro?
yeah, I don't like Mr. Henry from Bottle Rocket. I can't stand him in that movie, but I love him in, of course, Godfather.
But yeah, no. There's a reason why she won an Oscar for that role, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Straight up.
top notch. No, I love it. I had a feeling no one was gonna pick her, and I'm glad I picked her late because I would have felt a little off if I picked her in the earlier rounds, and I'm glad it kind of worked out to my benefit. But yeah, Annie Wilkes as my last pick. I think that's a perfect cherry on top pick for my house or for my team. So
Awesome. Now, I gotta round this up. If people don't want to watch TV, I can lay a book out for them that has rhymes. And once you read those rhymes, a particular spirit is released in the house. Going with the Babadook. He is going to be my
Babadook.
my
Which
favorite-
one?
The Australian version. Like, I would never choose the American made version because the American made version made it 10 times worse. That should be a hint, America. Don't remake movies that are really good and cross seas. They're good for a reason. Anyway, not the
Let the right one in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Godzilla's a good pick because at this point, Godzilla's the same way. All the good Godzilla films are usually made in Japan, and we only get a few here in America that's like, okay, that's a cash grab, or okay, that's decent. It's not the best. But no, the Babadook is my wild card. If anything goes wrong, like I said, people might want to stay at the house and don't even want to watch TV. But they'd rather read a good book. So they start reading the rhyme and not realize what they've released in the house. And I think it's a great pick. Babadook is one of my favorite iconic scenes. And Adam, I know you and I have talked about it way before when we did a Star Wars podcast, where you see the dark shadow and the mom is staring up at it. And all of a sudden you just see the, like the jazz hands come out and you just see the face and it just scares the living shit out of people. I love that. Like, it's just iconic. I almost went with the Conjuring I can never remember her name. Annabelle, I think is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost went with Beetlejuice in that role.
Ooh.
As my pure entertainment.
He's not violent though, right?
No, but he'd make people run where you get Henry Wendell Crumb to go out on a run or Pennywise to kill people. You have one way or another you could have scared people to where they get more of the fear. But the Babadook, I think, can do the same thing. He can possess people. He can actually, he's telekinetic. He's also telekinesis as well. So having that, it's actually kind of neat to see that. And having that aspect, I think, would be great for my house. So that will round up my draft. So Adam gets his last pick.
So I'm very excited because Rick actually said something that, like, I was thinking. He just said it in a different way. I had a dungeon master in mind. The one who was going to move all the pieces around. I'm actually going to read the Screen Rant article that talks about this character. The Fall of the House of Usher combined elements from Edgar Allan Poe's most famous works into a single digestible horror series. As each of the Ushers perish one by one, they're met by none other than Poe's famous Raven in the form of Verna. Beyond her unnerving appearance and mannerisms, Verna is so terrifying because of the death she represents. Run or hide from it, death will come eventually, and Verna will inevitably be there. I loved that show.
What a great series. Yes.
Mike Flanagan, I have been a huge fan of his for a while now. I had a couple other people, including the character from Hush. He was absolutely terrifying. But I think Verna is one of those characters that it's inevitable. Even if you think you've made it out of the house, like even if you think you've finally beaten all of my people, you see her sitting there at the end and you're about to die. You don't know how, you don't know where, but you're about to die. And I think she was very good at manipulating people into doing what she wanted. And it was really awesome to see that. But also, can you imagine her telling these other people, like, hey, you're going to go here, you're going to go here. This is your role. This is your role. You're playing this part. That person's screwed. So I thought that that would be a really great linchpin for everybody that I've picked, is having her being kind of the call guy, the quarterback of my team. And I'm somebody that drafts quarterbacks in the later rounds because most quarterbacks outside of Patrick Mahomes always score the same amount.
A great choice. Yeah. And also opens the catalog up for the type of death if there's an additional role for, how you get to call your demise as the actual DM hosting your particular 5 entities. I had 2 that I was really surprised didn't get snatched up early that I almost did, and one was a contextual choice because you had Monster House, and I was like, oh, and I didn't, and then it was, well, if I get the additional, I get to set this up in a location. If there's that, then I get a double potentially if I can bend or work that rule in my favor and put this whole thing in the cabin in the woods.
Ooh,
yeah, that's a great
because you get the whole
that would have
library,
been
you know what I mean?
so
well, because it's
smart.
all random things in there. You don't know what truly is
You
there.
don't know, and it's in pretty much anything you might have want. Just they touch that. Just anything that you plant in that house could be a trap.
I can see that work for you, or I can see like the mist work for you.
Yeah, the mist was it was a little too nebulous. When I go to think about icons, I'm a visual type of person, although the context and the difference of shape of some of the things like the Thing, and one of my main choices that I was going to choose, if nothing else, from Final Destination, Death.
Yeah.
Or from Puss and Boots,
Humpty Dump.
The wolf.
The wolf, bro. What a great iconic representation. But Death from Final Destination is coming for you, so and in such clever ways and thoughtful, unique. I think most people remember, anybody driving on the interstate and the log truck comes by, you think Final Destination.
I always think of that.
Thanks to Jeffrey Reddick, you know what I mean? He's a great author, great writer.
Funny because I told Brandon this before, and I don't know if you remember, but when we talked about doing this, I was like, dude, the Final Destination entity might be a fucking sleeper, bro. Like, death is always around the corner. It's inevitable. It's gonna happen.
Shout out though to Jason, who didn't make the list. I was really surprised because
thought about it.
I almost twice, but I was like, if I, I love Jason, but
the campsite would have been an amazing setup.
I also there was several water bound creatures. Initially, one of the first ones on my list was Cthulhu.
Yep.
And I had no real way to that until I thought, underwater. The film, which if you haven't seen it, hey, Underwater's got some great scenes in that film. I was really surprised when I watched it. But there's a representation. But again, I was like, one, if you're not asleep, one, if you're not around water, if you guys set up the structure of this, some of these characters wouldn't even play.
This is a fun thing for us to do. I'm glad we were able to get Rick on. I'm glad we were able to get Adam on with this. So Rick, to end this out, tell the fans where they can find you. Got any new update projects coming out? Anything like that coming up soon?
Yeah, we're working on the Kaimichi project, which is the next film that I have on deck. When you said book, I thought for sure it was the Necronomicon. I just wanted to throw that out there. But Rick Prince, Instagram, if you guys want to follow me there. TikTok, same thing. Just my name, Rick Prince. Love to have you interact.
Awesome. And Adam, other than the Ghost Squad, a Star Wars podcast, where can fans find you?
You can find me on social media, the Rex Tano. Except for YouTube, you can find me Star Wars Comic Friend. My The Rex Tano got deactivated somehow from 20 years ago, however long it was. So that's where you find me. And then Ghost Squad, like you said.
And Patty B, take us out of here.
Patty B.
Thank you guys for everything. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Adam, for both joining us tonight on this awesome little journey we had here building our own teams. This was fun. Had a lot of fun. And remember, we do it just for Flix. Thank you, guys.